Hey guys, I'm just experimenting with some new framing for these videos. I don't know if any of this is going to work, but hey, we're just going to try things because we're experimental. So today I want to actually talk about some stuff that physical media collectors will just not tell you. And look, we try to all be the same. We all try to collect because we love. But this is the thing. Some things that physical media, some of these YouTube channels that collect physical media, they just don't tell you all the reality of collecting physical media. Now, obviously, the biggest reality of collecting physical media is the space it takes up. And yes, people say binders or Jolly Rogers or whatever. I made the mistake of putting all my discs in binders like a decade ago, and I regretted it. And then I had to recollect all this because I missed the interaction with the covers. And people say Jolly Roger. I don't care to watch it off a hard drive. I don't care to watch it that way. So this is like a lot of space to take up, and you see my collection really just like half of my collection. Like you don't see the Blu-ray aspects. You see the Blu-ray aspects, but you don't see the VHS. You don't see the DVDs. You don't see the laser discs. I'm literally always surrounded by physical media, and it's not like a hoard. It's like it's done in a way that it's arranged into a modern room. So it's like it's arranged in a way that's modern and like doesn't take up too much space, but it's also, it does take up space. And so, yes, one of the realities is the space it does take up. It takes up a lot of space, especially if you have a collection like mine, 3,000 strong Blu-rays, like 3,000 covers. And that's not even counting DVDs, probably 4,000 including DVDs, and maybe even more if I count laser discs and everything, like, you know, VHS. Like I probably have 4,000-ish, or over 4,000, including wrestling DVDs, including VHS, probably 4,000 or something. But this is the reality that nobody tells you. It's that this takes a lot of space. And some YouTubers do tell you that, hey, this takes a lot of space, you need to be collecting what you are passionate about. But just be aware of the space it takes up. I mean, if you have a small studio apartment, you may not be able to have a massive collection like this. So in that case, you need to be more selective with what you're buying. Second thing that a lot of YouTubers will not tell you, and a lot of people who collect physical media will not tell you, is the actual cost. Now, I revealed in one of my previous videos that you can find on my YouTube channel the cost of what I spent on just the Blu-ray portion of my collection. And you can go and watch that video. I will link it in the description below. The cost video, everyone was shocked by how much I paid. And that was only from 2020 on my Blu-ray collection. I'm not even counting DVDs. I'm not even counting prior to 2020 with what I had left over in my collection. I'm not even counting laser discs. I'm not counting any of the other stuff. So people were shocked when I mentioned the number. And I did a cost breakdown, so you can go watch that video. But it was a lot. And I mentioned in that video, I know we're in a cost of living crisis. I know we're in a housing crisis. I know we're in a rental crisis. I know the cost of living continuously keeps going up, and it just feels like it's never ending. And stuff that once cost $1 now costs $3 or $4. It's like, I understand the situation of the world at the moment. I get it. But I've collected this over many years, and during that era where the world changed in 2020, I turned to this, and this was my escape from everything that was happening in the world. When a lot of people were feeling really down and whatever, I turned to something I knew, and it kept me sane, you know? So, look, the cost is also another thing that a lot of people try to not think about or try to not tell you. But you also got to be aware that, like, what's a good one here? Like, if I was watching a new 4K Blu-ray, where's a newer one? Now, I imported something like Dirty Dancing. Here we go. Let's get Dirty Dancing off the shelf. Because I import through my contacts, I import through certain contacts, that's got a bit of a damage on there, and I got a bit of a markdown because of the damage. But realistically, the slipcover to me, it adds character to the slipcover that it's a bit damaged. I mean, I could have went pristine and had it perfect, and I think it adds character. And honestly, as long as the disc works, that's all that really matters to me. But the slipcover, the fact that I even got a slipcover for this one works. I think I paid about $58, somewhere in the range of $58 to $70. I don't know exactly the exact amount. It's in a book that I've written down, but you know, I had to import this one, and I imported this probably a year before Australia got our release, because it's out now in Australia in JB Hi-Fi, and you can probably get it for like $30, $40. But I imported this one from America. This is the American copy. And it did cost me more. It cost me a bit more because I imported from my contacts. Obviously, they had to make a bit of profit, and that's how I got it. That's how I got my hands on a copy that, for all intensive purposes, wasn't coming out in Australia. And there was no release date for Australia. And it wasn't until about a year after that one got picked up that they actually announced there was an Australian port of it coming. So the cost is very tumultuous to a lot of people. It creates a lot of turmoil. It creates a lot of tension. When people say, how much did you spend on this? They say too much. But I've given you an actual video where I explain, hey, this is how much I spent. I may do a more comprehensive breakdown at some point, but yeah, I spent a lot of money on this collection, and you can watch the video that I'll leave in the description. So the cost, the space. What about the vibe? Because it is a vibe to collect all this. I mean, people say, oh, that's so old school. Like, that's really cool. Like, yes, we get it. And this is another thing that people will tell you. So often we get asked, oh, can we borrow, or can we rent something out of your collection, or can we have that, or do you have a spare copy, or something like that. They will ask us to essentially have access to our collection. And my mentality along those lines are that, hey, yeah, let's have a movie night. Like, come over my place, or I'll come over your place, and we'll set up some sort of experience, and we'll watch it all together. But the fact is, I don't like to really give away my physical media. I don't like to rent it out. I don't like to let someone borrow it. I don't like to allow someone to have it, because this is the thing. And many physical media collectors will tell you this as well. This is why we're all got this phobia. So often, back in the day, the DVD days, even if you're getting CDs to your friends, you'd get this CD, give it out, pristine, nothing wrong with it. You give it out and be like, cool, I'll give that back to you in a couple of weeks. You get it back in a couple of weeks. It's got freaking scratches all over this thing. It's like, how did they look after it? Did they even look after it? Were they using it as a coaster for their drinks? Like, this is why physical media collectors are so cautious about renting out or borrowing out our collection, because we have had experiences like that. We do not trust how other people watch movies. We don't really trust that you're going to love the movie and look after the copy of the movie that we give to you the way we look after it. Like, I keep a lot of this pristine. Like, I like to make sure that there are no scratches on any discs, and there are some instances where there might be the minor scratch, and that throws me off. It's like, oh, okay, it's got a scratch now, and it's like, oh, okay. But it really annoys me when you lend it out and then you get something back that looks like Leatherface. It's just like all stitched together. It's like it's all these scratches over it. It's like, I just don't... Look, I trust people. It's just a matter of, I don't trust them to love my collection the way I love my collection. So that's another thing physical media collectors will not tell you. We do not like to give our collection out. We like to keep it to ourselves. And if we can share it with you, we will share it with you. We'll have a movie night or something. But it's just a matter of, we need to ensure as the collectors that our collection is maintained, and this is also a preservationist thing. We want to make sure that it's maintained for future viewings, because we are trying to maintain this for decades. Like, this is another reason that people get worked up over, and we'll get into this. This will be number 4. This is another thing physical media collectors will not tell you. So up front, I mentioned the cost in my cost video, and everyone was saying, oh, but you could have had this, or you could have Jolly Rogered it, or you could have done so much more with that money. You could have saved the house deposit. You could have had 10 streaming services forever. It's like, yes, I could have. Yes, I know that. We know that we could have done that with the money. We know the money could have been put to other things. We know we could have gotten Vegemite with the money. We could have put a Blu-ray and said, okay, I need Vegemite. I'm getting Vegemite. And, okay, that's the first thing that comes to my head. I know I'm Australian. Don't judge me. But, hey, Vegemite is freaking cool. I don't know why other people in the world are thrown off by it. It's because you layer it on too thick. Like, take Vegemite's potent. You need to have a tiny bit. You put butter on the toast, and then you put the tiniest bit of Vegemite, because you're starters. You can't eat as much as Australians. Like, I can layer it thick, because I've been eating this thing since I was like a kid, like when I was a baby. But if you're trying Vegemite for the first time, what you need to do is you need to layer it very, very thinly. You don't want to have too much of it, because you're new to trying Vegemite. You don't want to have it too thick. But this is about physical media. We're not going about Vegemite. But anyways, we know that this money can go towards other things. We understand it. We get it. But I'm thinking long term. I'm thinking 30, 40 years down the track. What happens when Netflix get bought up by Disney, or get bought up by Amazon, or get bought up? What happens to the Fox catalog now that it's owned by Disney? They've locked Gone with the Wind away. They've locked so many things away. Like, there are people who said even Disney's locked away Song of the South. And look, I do know that movie has racial undertones. I haven't actually seen the full movie. I understand it is considered to be problematic. But the fact that I can't watch it myself, except on Laserdisc, or I think there's also VHS copies, the fact that I can't watch it myself and make my own determinations means that, physical media is the way to go if I want to watch that movie. And that's the thing. People ask me, okay, but you could just Jolly Roger it. And I don't want to Jolly Roger it. I don't want to sail the seven seas. I mean, I used to back in the day, don't get me wrong. Everyone of a certain age will tell you that we were all doing it back in the day. Like, that's why Metallica started suing people. Like, we all did it at some point, but it's just a matter of, for where I am right now, I prefer the interaction of taking a case off the shelf, looking at it, and being like, okay, I want to watch that movie. Or, I'm just looking around, I want to grab one off the shelf right now. Let's say I want to watch, the great Jessica Mauboy, The Sapphires. I'm actually seeing her on Saturday night. That's Jessica Mauboy right there in the centre. I'm seeing her concert on Saturday night. I've seen Jessica Mauboy a bunch of times, as you can hear the plane going over. Yeah, I've seen Jessica Mauboy a bunch of times. One of my favourite singers in Australia. One of my favourite... she's great in movies. But yeah, I've seen Jessica Mauboy perform a bunch of times. But I'm seeing her again on this Saturday night. And yeah, it's really cool. I'm definitely going to go see Jessica Mauboy again. I will always see Jessica Mauboy. I saw her less than a year ago, because she performed at FIFA Fan Festival when the Women's World Cup was in Australia. I saw her perform at FIFA Fan Festival last year, and it was really cool. And I've got pictures up on my Instagram, which nobody follows my Instagram. I don't even really focus on my Instagram for anything. It's just there if people want to follow me. I don't really focus on it. I focus on TikTok. But I do that, like movie recommendations and stuff on TikTok, so that's a different vibe. But my Instagram's more like personalized. It's a bit more like the concerts I go to. I actually went to Taylor this year. I went to Taylor last month. Taylor Swift. Really great performer. But it's not about Taylor Swift. It's not about Jessica Mauboy at the moment. It's about physical media. So, yes, I like the sensation that I can pull the Sapphires off the shelf and just put it in a player and not even need the internet, not even need a hard drive. It's just like, put it in a player, and as long as I have a DVD player and power, I don't need to worry about internets. I don't need to worry about the quality. I don't need to worry about anything else other than watching the actual movie. So yes, that's another reason. Another thing that physical media collectors will never tell you is that it never ends. And what do I mean by that? Well, I mean that it depends what you like. But certain things will get into this frame of like, okay, number one, last one, I don't know if I can show him. Actually, I think his family did release a statement, because he wanted his likeness shown after his passing. Okay, I think I did read a statement, so I can show him even though he's passed. So I will be showing an Indigenous person who's passed away if you're watching. So if you're uncomfortable with that, just be aware that I'm about to show an Indigenous person who's passed away. So the family of David Goopaloo has put out a statement since his passing and said that he does want to be remembered. So I do remember reading that statement, so I can show him. Like, David Guppilu, I haven't seen this movie personally, The Last Wave, but he's one of the greatest Australian actors of all time, and he was in so many movies. He was in stuff like Crocodile Dundee, like, you know, people will remember the Indigenous person who comes out of the bush and says, oh, make, like, had the boomerang make the call, like, all that stuff. David Guppilu was in the first one of that, so you have seen him in movies. But he was also in a great movie called Rapid Proof Fence, which, yeah. So, yeah, he's been in a lot of movies, David Guppilu, but they get into the... What happens with releases is they'll go, okay, The Last Wave, you own The Last Wave now on Blu-ray. This is number one of blah. It's like, okay, we're going to do a number of releases under this brand. So it's under the, what is it? The Burnt Screens brand. So you'll get stuff like number 3, release number 3, and then you have to buy release number 3, and then you have to buy release number 5, and then you have to keep buying the never-ending release cycle. And it's like some of these movies, I'm sure, are pretty good. Like, I haven't seen a lot of these because I am expanding my Australian collection, but I haven't watched... I've watched a lot of Australian movies, but it's a matter of, like, I'm still digging down trying to find it. And it's like the niche Australian movies are the ones I go for. It's like, I may not have seen... what haven't I seen here? I may not have seen Swinging Safari. I may not have seen even Two Hands. But I have seen Wake in Fright. I mean, everyone's watched Wolf Creek. I have seen Mad Dog Morgan. Like, you know, I tend to go for the bit more niche. And yes, there are a lot of niche titles over there that I haven't seen, and that's why I own them, because I can jump in there in a second's notice and just watch them. And that's another thing. What a lot of physical media collectors don't tell you is that we like access to our movies at a second's notice. So when you say, oh, streaming services, like, you can just stream it. It's on Disney, it's on Amazon, it's on Stan, it's on... We have a streaming service here in Australia called Stan. It's owned by Channel 9, partially. And yeah, not Stan. I have a really good catalogue. It's where the Walking Dead airs in Australia, essentially, or the newer seasons of The Walking Dead. Since I think it's got Maggie and Negan, it's got Rick and Michonne, so it's like it's got the new seasons. But that's a streaming service called Stan. So, but why would... When people tell me, oh, you should get on Stan and watch this movie, it's like, okay, I want to watch... I haven't seen it yet, but I want to watch Death in Brunswick. I want to pull that... Well, before I pull it off my shelf. If I was streaming it, I would have to go and say, okay, Apple TV, Death in Brunswick, okay, it's on blah, I have to pay $6 on this one, iTunes have it, but, okay, where is it actually housed? Okay, there it is, and then you find it, and then you also have this thing where the movie will start playing when you're actually trying to read the blurb, or the description on the back, or whatever it's called, whereas here, I can just go into my collection and go, bang, okay, Death in Brunswick, bang, Sam Neill. Someone is drilling outside my window now, and I don't know who it is. That is really loud, though. Anyways, Death in Brunswick. I'm sure it's a great Sam Neill movie. I've heard a lot about it, but I've never actually watched it. And the fact that I don't have to go looking for this when I do want to watch it, it just it saves me fractionally like a couple of minutes, and also the interaction I have with that movie by bringing it that way is so much better, because it's a physical item that I can hold in my hand, look at, and be like, yes, I want to watch this. I want to watch this movie. It is a physical item. And I don't know what's rattling around in there. That is... Can you hear that? I hate when you get Blu-rays and they're just kind of like... Yeah. But yeah, I like that it's a physical item that I can hold in my hand, and essentially I can enjoy the movie. I don't have to think about the internet. I don't need to think about going on a quest to try to find which streaming service has it. As long as it's in my collection, I can say, yeah, the moment I want to watch Death in Brunswick, whenever that happens, it's right on my shelf, ready to go at a second's notice. And this is another thing that physical media collectors don't tell you. We like access to our collection at a second's notice. This is another reason why we don't borrow movies out, or give them out, or let people borrow. It's because yes, you can say, oh, you haven't even watched that movie. Are you even going to watch that one soon? It's like let's say Swinging Safari. Let's pull that off the shelf. You're not even going to watch Swinging Safari soon. It's been on your shelf for how long and you haven't even watched it? Can I just borrow it for like a week? Well, A, we don't know how you're going to look after the movie, so we're a bit more cautious of like how many scratches the thing's going to have on it when it comes back. But also, what happens if I want to watch that at a second's notice? What happens if I have the spark to say, you know what, I want to watch Swinging Safari tonight. I want to go in there and grab it. Bang, just pull it off my shelf. But the access we want in a second's notice, that's what gives us variety. And this is the thing that a lot of people choose streaming over. It's because they have access at a second's notice. But that's why I personally like having it, don't like renting it, and don't like giving it out, because I like access immediately. I like access the moment I feel that spark to watch that movie. It needs to be readily available to me, because if I don't watch it when that spark happens, I won't watch it for another 6 months. I won't bother. I'll just be like, okay. I won't watch it for another 10 years. I'll just be like, okay, it's not available to me. Okay, if that's not available to me, I'm just going to watch blah. I'm just going to watch Storm Boy, or I'm just going to watch another David Gilmour movie, Storm Boy. But I can just go back and I can watch Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. It's such an iconic movie. Hugo Weaving, what's his name? Guy Pearce, Terence Stamp. Really great Australian movie. Bill Hunter's in this, I believe. Is Bill? Yeah, Bill Hunter's. Yeah, he's the guy married in the Outback. Yeah, really great Australian movie. It's very iconic. A lot of people say, "Oh, LGBTIQA plus cinema," and it's like, hey, I'm a straight guy. Just because I'm straight doesn't mean I can't enjoy a great Australian movie. Look, I can get into Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. I'm like, yeah, let's sing along. Like, this is a freaking great movie. I like cinema. And this is what I mean. Like, I like that movie in my collection. Mira's Wedding, another great Australian movie. And I'm sure this is on one of the streaming services. It's one of the biggest Australian movies of all time. But, Mira's Wedding, available at a second's notice to me. And it's like, great Australian movie. Everyone's probably seen it at this point. The Castle, I can't mention Australian film without mentioning The Castle, because it's one of the... This is the movie that's on TV every other week. Anytime they can't think of what movie to put on, they end up putting on The Castle, and it does good ratings because everyone sees... The moment we see The Castle, Australia is just like, yeah, we want to watch The Castle. Yeah, let's watch The Castle. Great Australian movie. I've actually worked with Michael Caden. He's in Last Cab to Darwin, which was the movie I worked on, the first movie I worked on. But yes, that is another thing. Like, we like our access to our collections at a second's notice. So yeah, those are some things that physical media collectors don't tell you. I can't really think of anything else to tell you other than thanks for watching, I guess. And yeah, I think that's everything I needed to tell you. The quality. The quality as well. We'll go into one more and then we'll end this. I promise we'll end this after this one. So the reason a lot of collectors collect Blu-ray and collect 4K and collect DVD and collect whatever, the quality is just so much better than streaming. I mean, people will remember, in Australia at least, when Game of Thrones dropped, the Dark episode, the one it was during the last season, it was the Dark episode, the fight for Winterfell, or whatever. So that episode aired, and it had all this artifacting, and it had all this distortion because it was digital, and it was on early days of binge, and it was really distorted. And you look at that compared to something like the 4K version that I've got up the top, it's night and day. It's like, it is so much clearer because it's got a higher bit rate. It can fit a lot more data in one file, and it can fit a lot more in the disc, and it's probably the way to enjoy those movies. So yes, quality comes into play as well. This is why physical media collectors will say, oh, the Jolly Roger, cool, yeah, the Jolly Roger's there, and people who do that will say, oh, but I can get it in the highest bit rate, I can get it in the highest whatever, it is 4K, it's this, it's that. We get it. We do get it. We understand you, we hear you. It's just not the same. I like the physical interaction of holding the box in my hand if I was to watch Game of Thrones and being like, okay, I've got the physical item in front of me. I don't even need to go streaming or downloading however many episodes were made. It's just all available to me at a second's notice. Put it in the player, ready to go. I can jump to whatever episode I want. Bang. It's not on that disc, jump in the next disc. Bang. Ready to go. And it's also not problematic like streaming, where you don't know the quality of the stream you're actually going to get. So I've ranted on for enough time now. I'm going to end this video. Hopefully you've learned a few things about some stuff physical media collectors will not tell you. But I appreciate you guys watching. As always, do what the other YouTubers tell you to do. Just do it to my channel. Like, subscribe, I don't know, leave a comment, send an email. I don't know, I don't have an email. I don't know what do YouTubers tell you to do these days. I try. This is the thing. I try to make it more fun than the other sign-offs that the YouTubers do out there. They all say like, subscribe, notify, leave comments, do this, and I do it as well. But I try to do it in a fun way, and you know, we don't have to make the sign-off so boring. Like, put a bit of personality into it. You know, when I did radio training, I was always told, don't put a bit of personality into it. You're not an ABC presenter. Don't worry. If you guys know, you know. But yeah, put a bit more personality into it, and that's where I'm gonna sign off. Thanks for watching. Peace out. I'll catch you in the next one.